And welcome to episode number 9 of the Paranormal Trucker. I am PT. With me today is Snowman and Large Marge as always. How are you guys today?
Hello. Hey. Hello.
So how have things been going?
Great.
It's just hectic.
Got my dryer in.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I worked on that all day yesterday.
I bought a new dryer last week, brought it all the way home, plugged it in, it didn't work. So I had to wait till Mike could take off
It's all right.
the guy over there
Yeah.
could take off the next weekend. And we had to take it all the way back, get another one, come all the way back, and plug it in, and finally it works.
Well, I bet
We bought this thing in London.
I never thought I'd be at my age and get so excited over a dryer.
I bet the guy that you bought it off of was not happy to see you all.
Do I now?
So I bet the guy that you all bought it off of was not happy to see you back.
Oh no, because Kathy went in with her.
Who did?
Marge.
Marge. Oh my God, I'm paying you back,
See?
sweetheart.
See?
Just paying you back.
We're old.
Yeah, she went in with her Native American war paint on and had tomahawk strapped on her. And he knew better.
I was not happy,
Oh,
but they made me happy. So kudos to them.
Yes.
well, good.
And I took and we have renamed Dane from Diesel to Ghost because he has a ghost tattoo on his chest.
It's not an actual tattoo.
His white patch on his
That's
chest.
right. Looks
when
just like a ghost.
It looks just like a ghost. Head, 2 arms, legs. So he's ghost.
Oh, good.
While
It's even got a little spot in the middle for an eye.
yeah. It's a
You
one-eyed
can
ghost.
tell it looks it's a one-eyed ghost, but I mean it's so funny the way it looks. And we didn't even notice it until a friend of ours come over, and we were trying to think of a new name, and she just looked straight down and she said, "Well, he's got a ghost on the front. Name him Ghost." It's like, really?
Yeah.
We started looking. We're like, dang, he does.
Yeah, I never noticed it. He lived over here for 2 years. I never noticed it.
And at this point, he answers to anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
No,
can call him Mike, Steve. It don't matter.
he's just
Jim
happy.
Bob. Jim Bob was almost his name.
He's just happy to have people around and other animals.
And 2 animals. Oh my God.
He's a different dog.
He is.
He's sound asleep on the floor right now.
Yeah, I took him for a ride up in the holler earlier today. They are all 3 of them are down.
Yeah.
They are solid lost.
I can't wait to come over there and see him.
Yeah, he's calmed down a whole lot.
Your dad will have to take you up on top of the hill with him and watch him run.
Oh,
I swear this dog is like a thoroughbred.
Yeah, he's like, he gallops. Oh, no, I know.
He gallops. He's got the same gait as a racehorse.
Yeah.
And he goes, and his legs are so long, he blows the other 2 away.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. There's a field next to the house here, and that's where I would let him out of the evening time. Of course, he's the color of the night, so you never could see him. I had to put a glow stick on him sometimes, but
Right.
He would take off, and then he would play chicken with me, and he'd come running back at me, and I wouldn't see him. But all I could hear was that gallop coming at me. So I didn't know if it was a mountain lion or a horse or what was coming at me, but
Yeah,
thank God it was Diesel or Ghost.
yeah. Well, I took him up last week and went to change the card on a trail cam that we've got.
Yeah.
And, so I said, all right, let's go. Well, he was around the pond, and you kind of got to pull out. There's a wide area that you can turn around. And I started pulling out, and he heard that thing start up, and here he comes. 50 mile an hour. He is flying right toward this thing, and I'm already rolling. I went, oh my God, I'm going to hit him. And I slammed on the brakes and stopped. He didn't stop.
Yeah.
He hit that rhino and bounced and flew up over top of it, off the side and down over the hill. And I said, oh my God, I killed this dog, And he comes crump him back up out there. He was fine.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. He hit the front of the car one time playing chicken with me, and I really thought he blew the airbags out. he's
not the most graceful though. Let's put that.
And he's making friends with everybody. Everybody around here loves him.
He's all knees and elbows, that one.
Yes, and well, we stopped in the parking lot over there. You know, he was in the truck. He rode with us. Loved it. Had hung out the window all the way to London, all the way back. Yeah. Well, after Kathy went in there and
Large Marge
war dance on, Marge did the war dance on. I'm sorry, I did it again. Okay, we might as well drop the stage names. This not.
I like Large Marge.
So anyway, I go out and get him. I said, "Well, come on, I'll take you out here and see if you need to use the bathroom." Well, they had a little island in the middle of the parking lot, had some trees and stuff on it. Well, he went over and he took care of business. And on the way walking back over to the truck, this woman and got these two little kids, and they're just eyeballing him, and they stopped and started talking to him, started talking, was asking about it and all that stuff. And so I grabbed a hold of his harness just so he couldn't jump and hurt the kids, because bless his heart, he loves everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And that tail wasn't going 900, and they asked all kinds of questions. I said he won't hurt him. I said he just big. I'm afraid he hurt one of them, not mean to.
Leaning on him. He likes to lean.
Oh, he's a leaner.
Mm-hmm.
No, and the tail is another story.
The tail is weaponized.
He has bird tagged me about 4 times.
And tweet tagged me once.
Yes.
What did you call it?
He takes his tail and whacks you with it.
Right between the legs.
Right between the legs.
No. I know what a bird tag is, but what did you call it?
A tweet tag.
Tweet tag.
Yeah, Kathy was on the recipient of one of them one time. Marge.
Marge was on the recipient of one of them, and it didn't feel good.
No, and did you see the Pee Wee Herman movie where she got her name?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what she looked like after her tweet tag. My eyes was about that big around. It was funny.
Well, this new light that I've got going on here is making me look like I'm half asleep. Let me try to turn some of this down.
There you go.
You changed ethnic groups.
Yes, you did.
Oh my gosh.
You even went to Blue Avian there for just a second.
What about that right there? Will that work?
That looks good.
All right.
All this technical stuff we got going on here.
So we don't have any new emails. We don't have any new story. We don't have any stories at all for our contest. So I'm assuming people are just like, nah, whatever. So I was talking to Marge and Snowman there, and I think we've decided to extend the contest till the end of the year. But instead of just ghost stories, because Halloween's coming up on us in a couple of weeks now, we're going to do just any paranormal story, and we'll pick the best 3 to receive the
Gifts and gift certificate or gift card.
So we will take any kind of paranormal story now, any kind of UFO, Bigfoot, ghost, cryptid. I don't know, any kind of abnormal story that you might have that has happened to you. We want to hear about it, and we will reward you if it's the best of, if it's the top one of the top 3. So December 31st will be the cutoff date, and the first show of the new year will be the when we announce the winners.
I guess if we don't get anybody in.
Yeah, if we don't get anybody in, we'll just talk some more. I'm sure people love that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, listen, write in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, please.
I want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories, regardless if you're entering into the contest. Now, I know some people would be kind of shy as to entering the contest because they don't want their name out there. If you want to be completely anonymous, please write in. Hey, don't say here's the story.
All right.
We'll 100% keep it anonymous, and we will read the story on the air, and we will go from there. If you're one of the top 3, you'll win a prize. Third prize, of course, is a what I say was keychain. Third prize is a keychain. Second prize is a hat and a keychain.
Yeah.
And first prize is a keychain, hat, and a $100 gift card to Walmart or Amazon.
Free money. Free money.
Free money. All you got to do is open it up and just tell us a little bit about some weirdness that's happened to you. All right.
All right. Also saw on Facebook this week that there's a Bigfoot researcher, and all he does is Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he is having an event at the Powell County Library in Stanton.
Oh, really?
On the 14th at 7 o'clock. Oh,
Sorry.
Man, what's he?
What happens when you have big kids?
at 7 o'clock on the 14th, I believe it is. And
What kind of event is it?
Bigfoot.
I mean,
He's a Bigfoot researcher.
I know that.
He's going to do a talk, tell about some of the sightings, and have cast of footprints, and I think it'd be pretty interesting.
Diesel Ghost, are you trying to show off?
Huh?
Is Diesel Ghost trying to show off?
He is.
Diesel Ghost.
Bless his heart. All right, so moving forward here, we have we mentioned last week about the book that Snowman and I have been audibling. The Insiders Reveal Secret Space Programs and Extraterrestrial Alliances. So I have this week, I'm about halfway through the book, and it is, I mean, just full of information and insanely interesting. If it's true, it changes the way our history is written. I didn't realize. Now, I always knew that Nazi Germany had a big impact on the way that our modern lives today were shaped. I always knew that. But from what I'm gathering, if it weren't for the Nazis, we may not have ever moved into the modern era as quickly, or maybe not even at all. And again, Nazis are bad, but
right.
Then
you got to look.
Extraterrestrial and the occult stuff that they did, and the incredibly just the technology that came out of that area during that time, and even 20 years before the start of World War II, is just amazing.
Yeah, you got to look that there was so much pressure put on Germany after World War I. They had, and that's one of the reasons Hitler came to power, because he was trying to make them feel good about themselves again. Him and his engineers created the Autobahns, which our interstate highway system is modeled after.
Sure.
And he did this in the 30s, and then also he wanted the German people to be able to afford to get around transportation. So that's how you got the VW Beetle. It was a people's car.
Well, and not only that, but thinking back to the technology that they had at the time, that the VW Beetle is the most aerodynamic vehicle, and the most structurally sound vehicle that you could ever have had, that has ever been built. I mean, I won't say it's a tank, but for what it designed.
Marge might step out here a minute, I think.
For what it is, and for what it's the way it's designed, the aerodynamics of the car. You look at structures in the old world, they've all got that arch, just the strength of that vehicle.
Yes.
worlds beyond. That's what you look at the technology. That's what I mean. Even in the automobiles, this was in the 30s.
Oh yeah, and well, I mean, and also look at your aerodynamic stuff for the planes. Everything changed so much.
Sure did.
You know, they had two of the best fighters of the war. You know, and it took the U.S.
The ME-109 and the ME-262, correct?
Yeah, well, no, not the 262. That was towards that later part of the war, but it was an operational jet fighter they had
Yeah.
at the war. Had that come about, you know, another year earlier, or if the war would have gone on it could have changed a few things.
Sure could have.
But you know, what beat Germany was, you know, Hitler wanted the biggest, best, you know, tanks, planes, and all this stuff. Instead of just concentrating, what beat Germany was the Russians made one tank, T-34. We made the Sherman. We made thousands of them, and
Yeah.
we just whelmed them. You know, you know, they might lose 3 U.S. tanks to take out one Tiger tank, but you know, just because of sheer numbers, it couldn't hold up to the beat. You know, that it was taken, and you know, that was another thing that I think, you know, Hitler, you know, because they just kept pushing. I want the bigger, the better. You know, I mean, they even had plans to make oh gosh, it's called the mouse or something like that. But anyway, it means mouse, but it was a monster of a tank.
Yeah.
Huge. And they actually built 2 of them and destroyed one of them when the Russians were invading. And it was just, you know, had a bigger gun than anything else. But
Yeah.
instead of doing that, if he would have, you know, picked one and said, "This is it. This is what we're going to use," and that's all they made. They, you know, they might could have fared a little better, but you know, probably good thing for us they did.
Well, thankfully they didn't, you know,
Yeah.
because we would have, the world that we know now would not exist. I mean, it was a trade-off because the way their technology was going, we would be worlds beyond what we're at right now. However, people like you and I probably wouldn't be here.
We might not be living in the world we're living in.
Right.
You know, if they hadn't given up on the A-bomb, you know, and they were a little bit ahead of us as far as when they started researching this, but they couldn't make it work. Their scientists couldn't make it work. Probably a good thing, you know, because he had plans. The Horton brothers he had them design what they called the America bomb.
Yeah.
Flying wing, which was bigger than the 229 that they made.
Right.
And it was supposed to be able to fly all the way across the United States and bomb New York. And you know, if that came to pass, yeah, the world would look a lot different.
Well, and interesting enough, we'll talk about the Horton 229 in a little bit later and how it relates to the B-2 Spirit bomber that we have now. Of course, all this going back to the book that we've been talking about and how the new propulsion systems may have actually even made it onto an American modern bomber.
Yes. Yeah. And there was also the 229 when Germany surrendered and all that, we actually got part of a 229. It wasn't complete. It was just, you know, the engine and the center fuselage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's in the Smithsonian right now. But they got to looking at the aerodynamics and all that stuff after stealth became a big deal. And these guys got together. I can't even remember where it was at now that I read this. But they built a full-scale mock-up of this plane and put it on a radar test stand. And it had, I mean, in World War II, it had the radar cross-section of a honeybee.
Right.
Do you imagine if they would have had actually got this thing going?
Oh,
They
yeah.
would, with the radar they had, because radar was a new technology,
Sure was.
but they would have never seen them coming.
Well, and also the dimensions of the Horton 229 are pretty well exactly the same as a B-2 Spirit bomber.
Well, the B-2, the Horton 229 is a fighter jet.
Well, no,
was a lot smaller. The America bomber would have had the same dimensions.
no, they had a flying wing. Is that what I'm talking about? The America bomber?
Oh, what now?
They had a flying wing that I thought was the 229. Is that not it?
The 229 is a flying wing, but it's only a one-man fighter. Had 2 engines, one-man fighter. The America bomber would have been pretty close to those dimensions. But
So-
Northrop Grumman, back in the 50s, they made 2 flying wings. They had one that was propeller driven, and then I think in the late 50s they put jet engines in.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, so
it's actually pretty cool. You know, if you watch, oh gosh, the George Powell War of the Worlds movie, they actually used flying wing in the movie, which was really cool. You know, it was just a test vehicle, but when they made the B-2 stealth bomber, it was the exact dimensions of the flying wing.
Okay, so that's what I was kind of getting at, was that the dimensions of our modern stealth bomber
Mhm.
it was mainly based off of something that happened 60 years before it even became a thing, or
Exactly.
40 years. I'm sorry.
And see, they're getting ready to replace the B-2 bomber with the B-21, I think it is.
Mhm.
And kind of looks the same, but what it tells me is something technological has changed about this. You know, it's I've seen photos and drawn renderings of what the plane's going to look like, but you know, this bomber, it's been flying for a few years, but you know, you look at the B-52, it's going to be 100 years before they retire it. That plane will be 100 years old
Mhm.
before it's retired. This plane is replacing the B-2. And, you know, so that tells me that they have put something in there that's more technologically advanced,
Sure.
you know, as they deal with the stealth and as they deal with being able to reach out and touch someone without actually being there, you know.
Right. Well, all right. So we'll just go ahead and talk about the B-2 since we've already got so far into it. So what I was talking about, the propulsion system, from best way that I can understand. Now, again, if this is true, it's not, I don't know if it's true or not. This is just what's in the book, and it's supposed to be based off of true information. Supposedly, this craft, this B-2 stealth bomber, has actual propulsion system that we're used to, two or three, 4 jet engines, I think, 2 jet engines maybe.
That's 4 jet engines.
4 jet engines, as well as, but now I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited here. So has 4 jet engines, but the numbers don't add up. The thrust those 4 jet engines make would not be enough to make that craft. One, it would barely get off the ground, if it could even get off the ground. 2, it would not be able to have the speed that it has. So this anti-gravitic, they call it, technology, which would, and again, the book explains it all, but it's essentially like you have proton A and proton B, where proton B is attracted to proton A, and a proton A is trying to get away from proton B. So it's essentially moving in a line exponentially quicker and quicker.
Yeah, basically it helps create a thrust and lightens the aircraft, where the jet engines propel it up to the 600 miles an hour. This thing.
Yeah, and it reduces the weight of the craft by 89%, I think they said.
Yes.
So I mean, you're talking about an airplane that weighs almost nothing, where you know, once this drive is activated, So, extraterrestrial technology, as well as uh, early 20th century technology, is on something that's still flying and doing very well here in the 21st century. Correct?
Yes, I think so. And I think it's more along the lines of, that's probably like hand-me-down technology.
Sure.
That they, if basically what this book that we talked about was Secret Space Force.
Yeah.
And it was the technology that they used in that when it first got started, and they've gone beyond that, and so they let it trickle down to our regular Air Force.
Right.
And
they say that the TR-3B that we talk about so much is actually hand-me-down technology, and that the TR-3B was actually capable of space flight, and it has a wingspan of what they say 600 feet.
600 feet.
And they have crafts almost like aircraft carrier that operate in space, the Solar Warden fleet, which now, according to the book, the Solar Warden fleet is kind of an older fleet and on its way out, I guess is the way I understood it.
Yes.
But they had cigar-shaped carriers that would carry up to 6 or 7 of these TR-3Bs that they could deploy anywhere in the world at any time, or anywhere, wherever they're at. And they had, I think they said, 8 or 9 of these cigar-shaped carriers. Is that correct?
That's yes.
Yeah. And
they also, like I said, the TR-3Bs were like hand-me-down aircraft.
They're hand-me-down to the Earth stuff.
Yes, and so if they got rid of those, then what do they have now?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question.
Well, and the book goes on to describe that there are 5 secret space programs, Solar Warden, of course, being one of them. And then there is a space force known as the Dark Fleet, which operates outside of our solar system. That is, they say their battle cruisers are something similar to what you would see in Star Wars, the large triangular shaped Star Destroyers, I suppose. And then you have the ICC, I think they said, which is the International, I can't remember. It's a corporation, International Cosmo Corporation or something. But essentially, they are the dark. They are the they
the Nazis. Both groups were the Nazis.
Yeah. Well, they obtain technology by any means necessary, which means even up to striking deals and bartering with certain extraterrestrial species for human abductions.
Yes.
So if you don't see myself or Snowman or Large Marge anytime soon, you'll know what happened to us. The Dark Fleet has us. But what's interesting is they talk about Corey Goode is, of course, the one of the whistleblowers that is in this book, or about the book is about. And he talks about how he did a 20-year service, and then his body was age regressed, and his memories were wiped out, so that he could return to basically when he left. But it makes you wonder how he could get back in, how he knows what's going on now, other than, it does say that he's still in contact. So they're still using him as a liaison to the humans. So it's a very interesting, book. This Corey Goode guy is he is either full of shit or he is telling the truth. I mean, there is no in between.
Yeah. Well, and after he came out on, it's a guy. It's a.
How do you spell that?
GIA guy. And it's a streaming service you can get on there, and I got it there for a little while, and just because I had heard about that, I wanted to watch and David Wilcock that was on Ancient Aliens for a while. He actually did a series with him, and I was watching it, and I said, "Oh my God!" Either this guy, they had an excellent team of writers, and he's a great actor, or he really lived this stuff. Because what struck me was he would be telling a story and mention something in it, and then David Wilcock would ask him a question about it, and he would just go off and tell about what he was talking about.
Sure.
Something completely different, and then come back and get back onto what they were interviewing. And like I said, you know, he was either bullshit and making this up as he goes, and if he was, he needs he needs an award because it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, either that or somebody sat and wrote out a story and he memorized this stuff, you know, for where he could rattle this stuff. And I just don't think there was just too much information.
Yeah,
I really think he actually probably lived this.
I believe so too. Now, of course, Corey Goode, he is one of he's a person I'm going to talk about tonight, and I am on the website spherebeingalliance.com. And this is basically an about me section. It says Corey Goode identified as an intuitive empath, or IE. Corey Goode was recruited through one of the MyLab programs at a young age of 6. MyLab is a term coined for the military abduction of a person that indoctrinates and trains them for any number of military black ops programs. Goode trained and served in the MyLab program from 1976 to 1986-87. Toward the end of his time at MyLab, he was assigned to fill an IE support role for a rotating Earth delegate seat shared by secret Earth government groups in a human-type ET Super Federation Council. Goode's IE abilities played an important role in communicating or interfacing with non-terrestrial beings as part of one of the secret space programs SSP. During his 20-year service, he had a variety of experiences and assignments, including the Intruder Intercept Interrogation Program, assignment to the ASSR, Auxiliary Specialized Space Research, the SVR, Interstellar Class Vessel, and much more. This all occurred in a 20 and back agreement from 1986-87 to 2007, with recall work continuing up to the present day. Goode now works in the information technology and communications industry with 20 years experience in hardware and software virtualization, physical and IT security, counter and electronic surveillance, risk assessment, and executive protection, and served in the Texas Army State Guard from 2007 to 2012. C4I, Command, Control, Communications, Computation, and Intelligence. The time in the Texas Military Forces was unrelated to the Secret Space Program service. Goode continues his IE work now and remains in direct physical contact with the Blue Avians of the Sphere Being Alliance, who have chosen him as a delegate to interface with multiple ET federations and councils on their behalf, liaison with the SSP Alliance Council, and deliver important messages to humanity.
Well, and you know something else, I was listening to the Spooky Family podcast, and they interviewed oh my gosh, what's his name with the Mothman, where he I can't even remember what his name was now, but anyway, it was his daughter, and Ingrid Cole, that is mentioned in the books, was supposedly in that galactic council or federation, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that was a pretty interesting interview, you know. And I, at the time, I didn't really, you know, I was kind of going, you know, I don't know whether I believe that or not. But after listening to this stuff, it may be possible.
Sure. Well, and what I'm gathering is, from listening to the book, if all this is true, what we're doing here on Earth is I mean, it's nothing compared to what's going on outside of Earth.
Right. And and another thing I took from the book was, and this is just me. I don't want to crap on anybody's religion or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But the theme that I got from the book, yeah, it was about the secret space program, but it was also about guiding us to where we get along, and want us to get better and treat each other better,
Right.
yourselves, and love your fellow man, in order to become part of this galactic federation or whatever it is. And and I just thought, me thinking, this is just me being analytical. Like I said, I'm certainly not crapping on nobody's religion. But to me, it makes sense, if what I got out of it was, God's everywhere.
Sure.
But not everybody was made the same, and He talks to them, through religion, through your religious stories and all this stuff. What if they, the extraterrestrials or whatever came down, which is kind of the ancient alien theory, and said, hey, this is things that need, happen. Here's the lessons that you need to learn. Here's the lessons, Moses, the 10 Commandments. It's all about treating somebody with respect.
Sure.
Don't, be a good person.
Well,
and that's kind of what I got out of it, was, because they mentioned something about, and I've seen on the Ancient Aliens that Zachariah Sitchin wrote the book, and then supposedly first contact where the Sumerians came down over in Iraq and all that, he said they were a little more belligerent, and wanted to fight. And I'm sitting there thinking, gosh almighty, that kind of falls hand in hand with what's going on in the Middle East right now. They've been fighting for 2,000-3,000 years, and and that's like I said, that might have been the people that actually helped start their religion.
Could be. Yeah.
And like I don't want no bad press out of this. This is just me thinking. I certainly don't want to mess with anybody's beliefs or anything like that, because that's part of it. You have faith in what you've been told.
Right.
But and things that's in the Bible and the Quran and all this, that's what your religion's based on. But the Bible, I mean, all the stories in the Bible were written. The people weren't there to see it. They wrote this after all the events happened, a couple hundred years later.
Right.
They wrote all this stuff down. So everything was handed down by word of mouth, until somebody decided to write it down. And so to me, that, like I said, that just kind of goes in hand in hand. If you look at it and they say, okay, well, God said this, and Jesus said this. Well, okay, that's fine. I believe everything in there. But who's to say that they didn't plant these seeds for us to better ourselves? And we've been 2,000 years trying to better ourselves, and we still ain't got no better.
We're not
still a long way to go.
We can't quit fighting amongst each other.
No. Nobody can agree. It's all about who can get on top, and that's not what it should be.
Well, and that goes hand in hand with the stuff that we've been saying here, is that everything is connected. Everything is connected, and everything has meaning to each other, each thing, every rock, every tree, every person, every midget in a circus. Everything has meaning, and everything has the mesh that you have to I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. That's the fabric of our reality. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're all the same. We are all the same of the same stuff in the universe. Does that make sense?
It does. But like I said, everything has a vibration. And that's why that was another thing that was in the book was they're working, and they don't call it the rapture, but that's basically what they were talking about. Was right now that the sphere group or whatever, what's it called? It's the name of his website.
Sphere Being Alliance.
Yeah. Okay, they supposedly had placed like a bubble around the solar system to try to keep out the cosmic rays that are going to change us.
What do you mean change?
And they said, that is about done. One way or another, it's going to change. They said if your vibrations are leaning more towards the good, that's where you're going. If they're leaning more towards what we call evil, you're going someplace else. They don't call it heaven and hell. They just, you're going to transform into something else. And then
Now,
the ones that are in between that don't have the good vibrations or the bad vibrations will be left here on Earth to deal with whatever's left.
Yeah. Now, when you say a bubble around our solar system to block radiation, what type of radiation are you talking about?
It's cosmic radiation.
All right, and it's supposed to change us what at a molecular level or what?
The stuff, and I've read some other stuff, like the Great Solar Flash and all that. And all this kind of ties together. Everything you read, somebody will call it something different or whatever, but it's supposed to be the cosmic rays that are coming from the center of our galaxy will change something in the sun. Now, whether the sun explodes or expands or whatever, it's going to be a bad day on this planet.
Sure.
For some people it might be better, for others it might not be.
But essentially what you're saying is the life on this planet has to end.
It does have to end. But, like I said, they're talking it, it may not. It may not be the end of the world. It may be the end of the world for some people.
Yeah.
But the way the way the book describes it is their vibrations, that, they, like I said, if you're leaning more towards a peaceful and loving, you're going to go somewhere else, and they are going to outnumber the people that aren't.
Oh crap! I'm a truck driver. There is no peace and love in this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're either going to someplace bad, or you're going to be stuck here on Earth dealing with the shit that's left.
So I'm still going to be driving a truck in the afterlife. Good. That sounds sounds terrific.
But it's weird, and I'm not saying that I believe that. I'm just saying that just made me think.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about that. You talk about that, and like you said, it does sound like the rapture, but it also sounds like the Great Solar Flash that Goose and Dirty Dan and Rebecca Short have been talking about over on their channel. That they talk about the awakening map, and the Great Solar Flash is on that map. So it's interesting that in 3 different places that you see this this coming of disaster, or possible disaster, but not disaster, but
and it may be just a rebirth.
End of how we exist now.
Exactly. And if you look at all your religions, especially the Hindus, they want to get in line. That's their big. They want to find that inner peace and be able to connect. That's why you have your monks and things like that. Don't eat and sit there and meditate for days at a time, are trying to be able to tap in to that cosmic spirit.
Yeah.
And supposedly, like I said, there's the Akashic Record, which is supposed to be like every bit of information in the universe is supposed to be access. You can access it if you know how to get to it.
Well, our universe is something like 14 billion years old, I think is what we've kind of.
Well, that's what the scientists have kind of rounded it out. Who knows?
So who knows what? Look at the stuff that we've done in 100 years. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what has been done outside of this planet in the universe in that time? What kind of knowledge is out there?
Well, and you got to look too. There's like what 100 billion stars in this Milky Way galaxy, and probably 4 times that of planets.
Yeah,
Life could have sprang on any of those.
sure.
Millions of years before we had life here. And I mean, we had life here before we came around. You had the dinosaurs. You had, you had all kinds of.
Well, and that's just the Milky Way galaxy. There isn't an infinite number. We don't even know how many galaxies are in this universe.
Right.
So just to say that we are the only life on this planet, or I'm sorry, only life in the universe it makes more sense that we aren't than it does that we are.
Well, and like I said, that's the whole thing about this is, if there's an alien species or number of them according to the books,
mm-hmm.
That some are doing experiments on us, some of us are taking us for slave labor, some of us are actually trying to guide us.
Yeah.
And you look at Tesla, you look at Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci. These guys were ahead of their time.
Sure.
And you got I can't remember what his name is. He's a mathematician from India. I mean, he's doing shit right now that's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, and Tesla would often say that he would get these flashes before he would be able to come across a new idea or something like that. He possibly had tapped into the Akashic Record.
Possibly. And you look at Leonardo da Vinci, he disappeared for 2 years.
Yeah.
They couldn't find him. Who knows?
Sounds like an abduction to me.
And they may have juiced his brain, or who knows what.
Sure.
Yeah. And then you've got guys right now like Elon Musk, and that are doing stuff now which it's technology, but they're thinking of things different than we did 50, 60 years ago.
Sure.
Where a lot of these companies, they just say, okay, it works, that we don't change.
Well, you touch on something there that I wanted to talk about too, was how Elon Musk, of course, he's in the space race now, as well as, you got like Boeing, and you got Richard Branson, you've got Jeff Bezos. They're all in the space race. And they're able to do it for cheaper than NASA did, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Well, NASA is government. It's government agency. They're going to spend money. NASA operates on a cost plus.
Right, but that's
you run over and okay, we'll pay for it.
That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is they operate because they have a project they're working on. NASA, yes, was a government agency, but that's kind of where, all right, where's the funding for these secret space programs coming from? It's possible that it costs so much for us to send a shuttle to space because we were building a second ship.
Right. Back in the day, there was, hammers were costing $50,000 and things like this.
Well, and you have these space shuttles that was our space shuttle program just a cover? It seems that way.
Yes, I do, and it was based on 70s technology.
I really believe that it was just a cover to fund these secret space programs.
Well, and oh my gosh, what was it? Department of Defense there a few years ago couldn't account for trillions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Could not account for it. Didn't know where it was at.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, that it's going somewhere.
Exactly.
But according to the book, that what was it called? The IC,
Yes.
which are just companies that the Nazis infiltrated,
Mm-hmm.
in the 50s, and they're kind of developing all the stuff for this and setting it up, but they're doing stuff for us as well,
Right.
and that's kind of like I said, that's where you stop and think about it, because the private company don't have to let theirs out. Yeah, these boys are J-Dog come over and had a problem. Marge had to help out there for a minute, and the boys are getting all. They were laying here asleep, now they're not, because he gets them fired up when they go out.
I'll read the introduction to this Sphere Being Alliance as well here. With all the events occurring above and below, there is a lot of information and disinformation and competing agendas that are all competing for fertile places in our consciousness to plant their seeds. Some people have chosen to focus on the more down-to-earth events and the battles over the financial debt system, or the Babylonian money magic slave system, financial resets, financial jubilee, and gifted money to the masses in prosperity settlements. There is an element of what we call the alliance that is fighting the current controlling elite known as the Cabal or Illuminati, among other names, down here on Earth at this very moment. Some people have chosen to focus on the more esoteric events and battles occurring above our atmosphere, and what many are referencing as the secret space programs and breakaway civilizations. There is quite a lot of classic technologies that are in the use in these programs that are being suppressed and could completely change the nature and quality of life of every human being here on Earth. Free energy technologies would end the need of the current oil and petrol energy companies. The frequency and light healing technologies would end the current pharmaceutical corporations. The neurologic interface technologies would end the need for large education institutions. And the food replication technologies and environmental purification and restoration technologies would end poverty, starvation, and begin to reverse the damage humanity has done to the Earth virtually overnight. As you can imagine, the real threat to disclosure is not that humanity cannot handle the truth or will be able to reconcile cosmic life with their religious beliefs. The real reason is that these technologies would immediately collapse the world economies and make the Babylonian money magic slave system of no use anymore. It means the loss of control of the 0.01% elite over the masses and a complete paradigm change. In short, it means freedom. Freedom for the first time in humanity's known recorded history. There has been a stealth civil war going on among various SSP groups for a while to achieve this result. Relatively recently, the SSP Alliance was joined by a group of beings that no one had encountered before. They are the sixth dynasty group of beings that have been referred to as the Sphere Alliance. These new sphere beings have since not only created an energetic blockade around the Earth, but have also done so around our entire solar system. They are a nonviolent group of beings who have brought assistance mainly in the form of a message. Some people are now choosing to focus on this message that was delivered by the Blue Avians, one of five beings, the orb beings, the Blue Avians, the golden triangle-headed beings, and two others that have not revealed themselves to us yet. The orb beings have been visiting many tens of thousands of people in the form of blue and indigo balls of light, while others have been visited by the Blue Avians and given a greeting phrase to know one another by. So what is the message? Every day, focus on becoming more service to others oriented. Focus on being more loving, and focus on raising your vibrational and consciousness level to learn to forgive yourself and others, thus releasing karma. This will change the vibration of the planet, the shared consciousness of humanity, and change humanity one person at a time, even if that one person is yourself. Say to treat your body as a temple and change over the higher vibrational diet to aid in the other changes. This sounds to many like a hippie love and peace message that will not make a difference. I assure you that the path they lay out in their message is a difficult one, even on the unlikely chance that these technologies stay suppressed. Imagine what a world we would live in if everyone made these changes to their cells. The Blue Avians also gave a warning with this message. They had tried to deliver the message 3 other times and it had not been distorted, and it had been distorted by humanity. They made it very clear that this information was not to become a cult or religious movement, nor was I to put my ego before the message, or elevate myself to a guru status. Anyone who does so should be avoided and held accountable, including myself. I mean, that's pretty interesting. And, again, I see the point. If we did, welcome back, Large Marge.
Yes, thank you.
But if we did change our way of life as far as caring for one another instead of just what can I get? What about me? Me. And instead, how can I help? How can I help my brother and my sister next to me falling down? Can I help them? Of course, the world will change. It would change almost instantly.
Yes, and something else that you can look at a lot of things going on today, but right now we're having a crisis on our border or whatever. According to our laws, this country was founded on immigrants, and I've got not one problem with it. Just do it right. Come here, follow our laws, and be useful. Try to help somebody. And
Political.
Do what now?
This goes so political so quick.
Well, it's not political. It's just, if you're coming here for selfish reasons, which, I'm sure a lot of them, they're trying to get out of a bad life.
They all are.
They're trying to get out of a bad life, and they're trying to come over here to hopefully it'll be better.
Get a free life.
I'm gonna let you talk for a minute. I gotta run to the next room, okay?
Uh-oh. Supposed to make that truck stop before you started this. I remember I got that one time. Well, I guess we're entertained while
I guess we are.
he's taking care of personal business.
That's right. You want to sing some karaoke?
Oh no.
Okay.
They don't want to hear me sing.
Okay. Let's see what.
Well,
I know what we could talk about while he's gone. I was actually going to bring this up, but I read and I couldn't get enough different information together in time. But anyway, I am Native American blood, and there is a movement within the indigenous people with awareness to the missing and murdered indigenous women and girls in the United States and Canada that aren't reported. Nobody's working on the cases. Nothing. They're just gone. And last year there was 2,300 that were missing. And nobody's out looking for them or anything. So it's a big movement within the Native community. And I wanted to bring awareness to it on the podcast.
but I read something, and it's more Bigfoot related, that the Native Americans would not let their women out after dark, at least not by themselves.
No, and that has a lot to do with this too.
And because they were afraid that Bigfoot would take them, and who knows?
But there's a large problem in the indigenous people's world of these missing women and children that is not being addressed. And of course, tribes only have certain restrictions or whatever they can do, so they need federal help in that, but there is none.
Well, and that probably goes back to their
treaties. And
treat,
that.
yeah, and things that happened to them, 100 years ago.
Right. Right.
That they don't trust.
So
the
it's a
federal
big
government.
deal, and I wanted to bring the awareness to it because a lot of people don't know that.
And there again, that kind of falls into this book that we were, some of these space forces are taking these people and they're slaves. They work them like dogs. They don't get anything, and and nobody's reporting. Nobody, we've got all these missing persons, but you don't have, no accountability for where they're
Right.
at or where they're trying
Right.
to find. And that may be just me reading crap in here, but that's a theory.
Right.
Well, it's also according to the book that's they've made deals with certain species for possibly human abductions.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Bart.
No, thank you.
Oh, look here, you got it too. No, there ain't no PT on that one.
That's fine.
Oh, I did do it wrong. Welcome back, PT.
Well, no, I mean, I have changed the. If you look,
Give me a corn dog.
if you look at my the name on my Zoom here, I've changed it to the Paranormal Trucker several times, but it keeps coming back up to my name. So,
Oh well, that's all right. Everybody knows who you are that's watching here.
yeah, I know it.
You can be both names.
Sure.
But anyway, we, getting back to the book, the stuff I've got out, yeah, they were telling about all the technological advances and things like that. And it was just, but what I got out of it was treat people nice. Do a lot of stuff to make yourself a better person and help someone else if you can.
Diesel.
And you don't have to help someone else if you can. Just learn to be a better person, and you'll do that.
Right.
Automatically.
Well, Diesel doesn't like that idea. He showed his disdain when you said that.
He does
I
not.
know that.
He does not like that.
I think we're going to do a comic book on it though.
Yeah, he needs one.
Ghost tattoo. Yeah. Some bad stuff goes down, and he lets his ghosts loose. And they're crime fighters.
I can see that.
Right, buddy.
So, since I've been reading this book, I know a lot, or listening to this book, I know a lot of the stuff that they talk about, like tachyon particles and food replicators and things like that. They sound very familiar if you think back to listening, or if you're a fan of Star Trek.
Yes.
I started researching Gene Rodenberry, who was the creator of Star Trek. As early as 1974, Gene Rodenberry associated himself with a New Age group called Lab 9, who were dedicated to the research of paranormal phenomena. They came in contact with extraterrestrial beings who identified themselves as the Council of Nine by communicating through channelers or psychic mediums. Now, does that sound familiar as to what Corey Goode was?
Yes, and it also sounds
That sounds
familiar to
familiar.
the real society.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There were 9 psychics.
Yes, very much so. And all right, so did Gene Roddenberry get the idea from where did Gene Roddenberry get the idea for Star Trek? Gene Roddenberry based the Star Trek on a post on the secret U.S. Navy space fleet written by Dr. Michael Salla. Now, Snowman, who is the book written by that we're listening to?
Michael Salla.
Yeah. On September 5th, 2016, posted in Space Programs. September 8th marks the 50th anniversary of the creation of Star Trek science fiction series that began in 1966. Let's see. When did the first meetings with aliens take place? His meeting with cosmic life forms is said to have taken place while officials were told that he was on vacation in Palm Springs, California in 1954. The initial meeting was supposed to have taken place with aliens who were Nordic in appearance, but the agreement was eventually signed with a race called Rays. That's not Gene Roddenberry. That's actually Eisenhower.
Yes.
So if you remember, and it talks about it in the book as well. the Nazis actually flew over the White House in the 50s with their spacecraft.
There's actually video.
Yeah. And so it was then that Eisenhower could no longer ignore what was happening. They had a superior force, and they had to create an alliance, or not an alliance, but a deal with them.
Well, and that's another thing that, you know, he talks about the military industrial complex. Eisenhower does when he was leaving office, and that is all these corporations that were supposedly infiltrated by the Nazis after the war.
Right.
You know, because they had moved their operations to Antarctica and Argentina before World War II. And then as the war was going badly, they moved everything else to get out of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's also, you know, you got to look at Admiral Byrd. Took a fleet down there, and they lost ships, they lost people, they lost airplanes.
A lot of people lost. A lot of people.
Hey, just a cat. Oh my God. We're gonna have to get a studio.
If you see all three of them standing up looking out the door, you'd crack up laughing.
Yeah.
It looks like a Disney movie.
That's I remember that Mark so well. In the middle of the night, he would see something outside, up out of a dead sleep.
Nothing's worse though when he busts the door down in the middle of the night, comes over to the bed with you.
Yeah.
He's stealth. You don't know he's in the bed until all of a sudden you can't move.
Yeah. Oh
And
no.
like you're just being
He
held down.
crawls up on the
He
bed.
crawls up on the bed. You don't even know he's there.
Oh yeah, I know. He's a ninja.
Yes, he is.
Well, do you guys have anything else we can talk about?
Well, I just wanted to
No.
remind you, like I said, there's a Bigfoot event, and it's supposed to be at the library, Powell County Library. I think it's the 14th. I need to look that up, make sure.
The
At
14th.
7 o'clock, the 14th. And I think it lasts about an hour or something like that. But I would love to get time to go. I don't know if we will make it or not.
Hang on a second, and I will tell you. I'm looking that up. Go ahead and talk some more.
Well, you know, I mean, for me, I think it would just be interesting because he's been a Bigfoot hunter or researcher, I should say, not hunter, for 30 years. You know, and he's going to bring evidence he's got. I guess tell stories and ask questions. You know, or answer questions people may have. Then I'd be interested in going.
Yeah. So on October 14th, Cryptids of Kentucky Q&A with Bigfoot expert Charlie Raymond at Stanton City Park.
Yes.
At the Stanton City Park. It's not at the library.
I thought what I read was at
Well, it's through the library, but I guess because of COVID stuff, they're doing it at the park.
Yeah, doing it outside. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, guys, I have exhausted my knowledge for the week. I am going to leave you with this little bit of information. We will be extending our contest to the end of the year. We're going to be doing any kind of paranormal story. Truckers are encouraged to write in because I love reading truck stories. But any kind of UFO, paranormal, ghost, cryptid, any kind of weirdness that has happened to you, has to have happened to you, write us in paranormaltrucker@yahoo.com. And you will be entered to win into our contest. With third place prize gets a keychain, second is a hat and a keychain, and first is a hat, keychain, and a $100 gift certificate to Walmart or Amazon. I want you to, if you guys aren't listening to any Paranormal Trucker stuff, check out the Audible book. My phone just locked up on me. Hang on.
They can look it up on Audible as Secret Space Force.
It's called Insiders Reveal Secret Space Programs and Extraterrestrial Alliances.
Well, he also has about 5 or 6 more books dealing with the same subject.
Right, but that's the first book. And check that out. All the information that I have come across from Corey Goode, is on the spherebeingalliance.com. And you can check that out. And there's also a little donate button there that you can help him out, because apparently he lost his job whenever he started being a whistleblower. And also, go check out Seth's Daily Podcast. He's doing some good things over there. Seth actually just started his own radio station online, so I will try to get the link from that and post it in the description on our YouTube. And then also check out Justin with Talk Junkie. Check out Goose and Dirty Dan over here at Chew Bubblegum, and of course my all-time favorite, Elliot and his spooky family. Check those guys out. That's going to do it for us here. We'll see you next week. Till then, keep it between the lines. Keep the shiny side up.
Oh, is that a trucker thing?
And tell them Large Marge sent you.
I'm having issues here. Oh, here we go.